So now I want you to go over codependency, if you wouldn't mind.
Mm.
We're going to go back and forth between depth and learning what these things mean. I love how you define it. I've heard it defined a lot. I love the definition that you kind of work with, and your story about couples therapy. It just made me I was just like, I feel seen.
Mhm.
Throwing the book, throwing your earpod. You have a story where you go to this therapist and you enjoy their work and they say, read this book. And you say, okay, and you read it and you get to a certain part that talks about always being available for your partner, which is, in some circles, very much how people, these are leading therapists. I think I know who the book is by. And I had the same reaction. I was like, this book, we're not doing this book. And this was in the phase when we were doing books. It's like, this book, no, they have good things to say, but
Yes.
not this part. And so the
Yep.
reason it was because they were going against this idea, which you bring forward in the book very beautifully, of interdependency. So can you walk us through
Mm.
that shift, if you would?
Yeah, I think so much of, I started unpacking a lot of my codependent ways of relating prior to having a child. And I think that, again, kind of using that image of the fire kind of under my ass, what I realized, looking at this little baby in my hands was I just absolutely refuse to pass this on. Like, I just do not want her to relate to other people, myself included, through this lens. And, codependency has kind of been the flag that I've waved for many years. And there's so much misconception out there around what this term means. I often will use this very pithy kind of definition where I just say it's really just as simple as if you're good, I'm good. If you're not good, I'm not good. Right. And so ultimately, my sense of self, my sense of being okay in my skin is based outside of myself. It's based on if somebody else or something else actually is okay. And so what do I need to do to make you okay so that I can be okay? And we learn many, many, many maladaptive strategies to get that to happen, right? We people please, we contort ourselves, we are not honest about our needs. We learn I like to call them kind of backdoor ways of communicating. So, like passive aggressiveness, for example, instead of being just clear and kind and concise in our communication, ultimately, not because we are malicious, but because we are acting out of fear, to use your word, right? We're terrified of being abandoned. It's kind of the through line that I say almost every human I've ever talked to has, whether they realize it or not. And it's the wound through which we relate to everyone. It's not just romantic. It's our children. It's our families. It's our work. I always say, like, once a codependent, always a codependent. So
And
it's
I and
insidious.
I made yeah, it's insidious. And I made the point in my TED Talk about how actually the financial system, maybe
Yes.
worldwide, but in my experience, actually forces you to become
Yes.
codependent in financial ways. It's actually celebrated, it's forced, it's really, really damaging. And I think women, maybe in particular, because of these systems, that is the safer way of going in a lot of this structure. So while it's valid, it's not healthy. Like
No, it's survival. I mean, we
survival.
learned
Yeah.
it. This is the understanding how we got here, right? I don't look at any woman and blame her for being financially trapped, for example, right? We have been taught, number one, that we've been taught this is what we do, but number two, I mean, in the States, women couldn't have bank accounts until 1978, right? Like that's my mom was not a child by that point. And so this is one generation we're talking about, right? So of course women aren't on the same playing field. Of course, we don't have the same understanding and knowledge. I often say that the financial system is actually the final domino in all of this. It's really helping women gain financial independence and understanding. And to kind of weave in this word interdependence, the thing about us functioning as interdependent beings, I think it's conflated a lot with independence or hyper independence. And that's so not what we mean. In order to relate to each other from a state of interdependence, really what that means is I am a sovereign, autonomous being. You are a sovereign, autonomous being. And so we relate to each other from that place, right? We're not relating to each other from the place of, I need you to be something else other than you are for me to be okay, because I'm doing the work to be okay and I'm not necessarily needing anybody else to do it, right? And vice versa, but also kind of bringing in.
No, I want to pause right there because in the middle of this battle, it is
Yes.
really easy to say, I need you. What is the difference in this conversation in saying, this is where I'm going and I want you to come with me. And I need you to be a certain way in order for me want to stay in this container. That is a
Yeah.
very difficult turn in this process of going from codependence, dominant structure to interdependence and a more egalitarian or partnership model. I don't know what
Yeah.
the other end of that you have
Well,
a word.
partnership model is what Riane
Yeah.
Eisler says, right? It's
Yep.
dominator and
Yep.
partnership. So that would be a good kind of antidote. I mean, this kind of ties back into what you were saying about when the stakes are really high. This is not to minimize the very real fear. This is not imagined fear. Again, I mean, these systems are real and women live within systems where financially they are not on the same playing field, right, as men, and they have children to support. To your point, you're in another country. I mean, all of these fears are real, right? It has to the kind of healing of the codependent way we relate to other people has to coincide with our healing to let me see if I can articulate this well. It's the inner work around my relationship to something larger than myself.
Yep.
And I
And
don't
that
necessarily mean religion, right?
yep.
But this
Yes.
is this is the depth component. Cool, great. I can learn all day long how to set boundaries and how to communicate more effectively, yada yada yada. If I'm not also doing my work around, I have trust that no matter what, I will be okay. I have trust that I can do hard things, I can make it through hard things, that I can struggle and suffer and I will still be standing on the other side of it. I'm not going to do the risky thing, which in my example is telling my then husband, right, who's my husband now, but we weren't when she first was born. This is said with love. Like, we will still be in each other's lives in a loving way. But in order for this container to stay this container, this is the direction I need to move. So you get to make your own choice, right? This is not me threatening you. This is not me telling you what that looks like for you. I'm not even telling you what your work looks like. It could go a very different direction than mine. But I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not also been doing my work around trusting in being held by something larger than myself and knowing innately that I would be okay no matter what.
Okay, that's this week's clip for our summer special. If you're new here or you've joined us recently and missed some of these earlier conversations, this series is for you. We're taking a little break from recording new episodes, but there are certain moments from past episodes we really wanted to share while we're away. If today's episode resonated, you can find the link to the full original episode and all related resources in the show notes below. Thanks so much for being here and letting House of Peregrine be part of your summer, no matter where in the world you're listening from.